Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gogopinath Shai Mukunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dhama Ki Jai. Chamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Yuga Dharma Hari Nam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai. Priyat Mridanga Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Transcendental Krishna Prasadam Distribution Ki Jai. Go Premanandi. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you all so much for being here. Let's have a couple quick announcements. First, I would like to wish Ajit Prabhu safe travels. He's going to be leaving us for a month, going to Alachua in Gainesville for the Festival of the Holy Name and the Krishna House, and then visiting his family in Canada. So we'll miss you, Prabhu. Have safe travels and come back soon. And also, as a reminder, today is our Thanksgiving Appreciation Lunch. So just for our local devotees that live here, just asking that we all park our cars in our driveways if we can. And if we're visiting for the feast, there's parking in front of the Comerica Bank on the grass lot. And we're going to reserve Gurley Avenue and the temple parking lot for our restaurant guests. We have about 500 guests that come to the restaurant today. So thank you so much for your cooperation. Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna. Good morning, dear devotees. Welcome to Sri Sri Radha Kalashanji Dham's Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we'll be reading from Canto 6, Chapter 8, verses 20 through 34, continuing the chapter on the Narayan Kavacha. This is a little frustrating. Oh, I just broke it. But it's broke now. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kundaviyari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kundabiyari Kundabiyari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Kalashanji Shri Radhe Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Shri Radha Madhava ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. If we can do the invocation prayers together, please. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devyam sarasvatim vasam tato jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer the respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Sri Vyasadeva, the author. Nashtapreya Shavabreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. By regular attendance on the classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome in the heart is almost completely destroyed, and the loving service unto the personality of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental sounds is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gyantamarandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Malitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Nama. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master has opened my eyes. In order to learn knowledge, I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Hare Krishna. So we're going to read from Canto 6, Chapter 8, text 20 through 34. And today, we're going to talk about protection. Protection from this material world is a very tough place. And we can use all the protection that we can get. And so we're going to talk about this protection in the sense of the being inspired by the Narayan Kavacha, like a coat of armors, right? Okay, so let's start with text 20. We'll read all the translations up to 34, and then we'll go back to 32, 33 for purport and translation.
May Lord Keshava protect me with his club in the first portion of the day, and may Govinda, who is always engaged in playing his flute, protect me in the second portion of the day. May Lord Narayana, who is equipped with all potencies, protect me in the third part of the day. And may Lord Vishnu, who carries a disc to kill his enemies, protect me in the fourth part of the day.
May Lord Madhusudana, who carries a bow, very fearful for the demons, protect me during the fifth part of the day. In the evening may Lord Madhava, appearing as Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara protect me in the beginning of night. May Lord Hrishikesh protect me at the dead of night in the second and third parts of the night. May Lord Padmanabha protect me. Alone protect me.
May the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who bears the Srivatsa on his chest, protect me after midnight until the sky becomes pinkish. May Lord Janardana, who carries his sword in his hand, protect me at the end of the night, during the last 4 Gatikas of night. May Lord Damodar protect me in the early morning, and may Lord Vishweshwara protect me during the junctions of day and night.
Set into motion by the Supreme Personality of Godhead and wandering in all the 4 directions. The disc of the Supreme Lord has sharp edges as destructive as the fire of devastation at the end of the millennium. As a blazing fire burns dry grass to ashes with the assistance of the breeze, may that Sudarshan Chakra burn our enemies to ashes.
Text 24. O club in the hand of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you produce sparks of fire as powerful as thunderbolts, and you are extremely dear to the Lord. I am also his servant, therefore kindly help me pound to pieces the evil living beings known as Kushmandas, Vaina, Yakshas, Rakshasas, Bhutas and Grahas. Please pulverize them.
I don't know what all of those are, but they sound very mean, don't they? Bhutas. If you ran into a Bhuta, what would you think it would be? Somebody smiling or somebody mean? A ghost. Oh no. Whew. 25, please.
O best of conch shells, O Panchajanya, in the hands of the Lord, you are always filled with the breath of Lord Krishna. Therefore you create a fearful sound vibration that causes trembling in the hearts of enemies like the Rakshasas, Pramatagos, Pretas, Matas. Is that how you say it?
Mothers. I mean, no, just kidding.
Pisachas and Brahmanagos with fearful eyes.
Be careful, those moms. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. It's obviously something different than I'm just playing.
O King of sharp-edged swords, you are engaged by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Please cut the soldiers of my enemies to pieces. Please cut them to pieces. O shield marked with the 100 brilliant moon-like circles, please cover the eye of the sinful enemies. Pluck out their sinful eyes.
May the glorification of the transcendental name, form, qualities, and paraphernalia of the Supreme Personality of Godhead protect us from the influence of bad planets, meteors, envious human beings, serpents, scorpions, and animals like tigers and wolves. May it protect us from ghosts and the material elements like earth, water, fire, and air, and may it also protect us from lightning and our past sins. We are always afraid of these hindrances to our auspicious life. Therefore, may they all be completely destroyed by the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra.
Yes.
Lord Garuda, the carrier of Lord Vishnu, is the most worshipable Lord, for he is as powerful as the Supreme Lord himself. He is the personified Vedas and is worshipped by selected verses. May he protect us from all dangerous conditions, and may Lord Vishwaksena, the personality of Godhead, also protect us from all dangers by his holy names.
May the Supreme Personality of Godhead's holy names, his transcendental forms, his carriers, and all the weapons decorating him as personal associates protect our intelligence, senses, mind, and life air from all dangers.
I'll just read this one while we get the mic to the next person. The subtle and gross cosmic manifestation is material, but nevertheless, it is non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he is ultimately the cause of all causes. Cause and effects are factually one because the cause is present in the effect. Therefore, the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, can destroy all our dangers by any sort of his potent parts.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the living entities, the material energy, the spiritual energy, and the entire creation are all individual substances. In the ultimate analysis, however, together they constitute the Supreme One, the Personality of Godhead. Therefore, those who are advanced in spiritual knowledge see unity in diversity. For such advanced persons, the Lord's bodily decorations, his name, his fame, his attributes and forms, and the weapons in his hand are manifestations of the strength of his potency. According to their elevated spiritual understanding, the omniscient Lord who manifests various forms is present everywhere. May he always protect us everywhere from all calamities.
Prahlad Maharaj loudly chanted the holy name of Lord Nrsingadev. May Lord Nrsingadev, roaring for his devotee Prahlad Maharaj, protect us from all fear of dangers created by the stalwart leaders in all directions, through poison, weapons, water, fire, air, and so on. May the Lord cover their influence by his own transcendental influence. May Nrsingadev protect us in all directions and in all corners, above, below, within, and without.
Okay, we'll turn to 32-33. We'll do the Sanskrit and translation and purport. Yatikatmayanubhavanam. Yatikatmayanubhavanam. Vikalparatiha svayam. Vikalparahita svayam. Bhushanandandua lingakya. Vashuna udalingakaya. Date sakti svamayaya. Dadate sakti svamayaya. Tenavya satyamanena. Tanaiva satyamanena. Sarvagyo Bhagavan Hari. Bhatu sarve savrupairna. Bhatu sarve savrupairna. Sada sarvatra sarvagya. Yatyaktamenan anubhavanam. Vikalparahita svayam. Bhushana yudya lingakya. Date sakti svamayaya. Tenavya satyamanena. Sarvano Bhagavan Hari. Bhatu sarve savrupirna. Sada sarvatra sarvagya. We get a couple, with it being two, maybe if we can get two people to chant, and then we can move on to translation, please. Yatte katmananubhavanam. Ushanadu lingakya. Datte shakti svamayaya. Taneva satyamanena. Sarvago Bhagavan Hari. Bhatu sarve savrupairna. Zada sarvatra sarvagya. One more, please. If somebody would be willing to. Yattakatmayanubhavanam. Vikalparahita svayam. Vashunadu lingakya. Dati sakti svamayaya. Dhanava satyamanena. Sarvagyo Bhagavan Hari. Bhatu sarve svaruperna. Sada sarvatra sarvagya. So today, because it's so long, we'll skip the word for word and go right into translation and purport, if everybody's okay with that. Okay, translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the living entities, the material energy, the spiritual energy, and the entire creation are all individual substances. In the ultimate analysis, however, together they constitute the Supreme One, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, those who are advanced in spiritual knowledge see unity in diversity. For such advanced persons, the Lord's bodily decorations, his name, his fame, his attributes, and his forms, and his weapons in his hand are manifestations of the strength of his potency. According to their elevated spiritual understanding, the omniscient Lord, who manifests various forms, is present everywhere. He may always protect us everywhere from all calamities. Purport by his divine grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. A person highly elevated in spiritual knowledge knows that nothing exists but the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9.4, where Lord Krishna says, Maya tatam idam sarvam, indicating that everything we see is an expansion of his energy. This is confirmed in the Vishnu Purana 122.52. Ekadasha sitataskanir janosta yosna vistani nayata parasya brahmana saktis tatedam makilam jagat. As fire, although existing in one place, can expand its light and heat everywhere, so the omnipotent Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although situated in his spiritual abode, expanded himself everywhere in both the material and spiritual worlds by his various energies. Since both cause and effect are the Supreme Lord, there is no difference between cause and effect. Consequently, the ornaments and weapons of the Lord, being expansions of his spiritual energy, are non-different from him. There is no difference between the Lord and his various presented energies. This is also confirmed in the Padma Purana. Nama Chintamane Krishnas Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Sudyo Nitam Mukto Vinavatvan Nama Namano. The holy name of the Lord is fully identical with the Lord, not partially. The word Purna means complete. The Lord is omnipotent and omniscient, and similarly his name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and everything pertaining to him are completely pure, eternal, and free from material contamination. The prayer to the ornaments and the carriers of the Lord is not false, for they are as good as the Lord. Since the Lord is all-pervasive, he exists in everything, and everything exists in him. Therefore, even worship of the Lord's weapons and ornaments has the same potency as worship of the Lord. The Mayavadis refuse to accept the form of the Lord, or they say that the form of the Lord is Maya. All are false, but one should note very carefully that this is not acceptable. Although the Lord's original form and his impersonal expansion are one, the Lord maintains his form and qualities and abode eternally. Therefore, the prayer says, Putu sarvi savarupa hirna sada sarvatra samaga. May the Lord, who is all-pervasive in his various forms, protect us everywhere. The Lord is always present everywhere in his name, form, qualities, attributes, and paraphernalia, and they are all equal power to protect the devotees. Srila Madhvacharya explains as follows. Eka eva paro vishnur bhushate dvajes ajaha tat chakti pradadvena svayam eva vivavstadyaha satyanena mam deva patu sarveshvaro hari. Hare Krishna. Really excited about this part of the Srimad Bhagavatam. I've put in my daily sadhana the activity to sing this Nrsinga Kavacha, or to listen, Narayan, excuse me. I also do the Nrsinga Kavacha, but it's part of my sadhana. So when I'm on top of it, doing my regular morning program, I listen to this. And so it was really nice to get more deeply understanding of it. And I appreciate the point that the Srimad Bhagavatam is making, that this is the armor. This is armor that we're putting on. Because we have a situation in our life right now where we're in the material world. And in the material world, there's so many things that are working against us in our Krishna consciousness. Some things aren't doing it, on purpose or actively against our Krishna consciousness, but there are things that are actually actively against our Krishna consciousness. And so we can put on armor, chanting this mantra. I kind of look at it like a virus protection. we each day understand that this body we have is like a machine, right? It's not us. And so we can, the things that are acting against us so that we can throw ourselves off or throw us and our machine off from the path of Krishna consciousness are like viruses, right? And so we can have virus protection in the sense of chanting this Narayan Kavacha. I was recently watching a podcast about, we're speaking about protection. So I was watching this podcast, and this person was talking about mind hacking. And they were explaining a recent study done. And what the study was showing was that a person was sat down in a chair, and then what would happen was there would be a light that would blink, and then there was something on them that would give them a shock. The light would come on, and it would shock them. And they were watching the brain patterns that would happen during this. And sure as heck, after a while, the light would come on, and before even the shock, the person's mind was, the patterns were getting ready for basically fear. They call it, fight or flight or fear, because the person knew that something coming against them was happening. So they thought, wow, this is interesting. And they put, what they did next was they put, the light was still with the person, but they strapped the electric pulse on somebody else that they didn't know, some random person. And so the light would go on, and it would shock the other person, and they were looking at the brain waves. And when they did this, there was nothing. There was nothing in the brain waves. Well, interesting. So then what they did is they put the electrical shock thing on somebody they knew. So the light would go on for them, and then it would shock somebody that they knew. The light would go on, and it would shock the person, and the same brainwave patterns would come up that were as if they were getting shocked. And so when I was hearing this, I was like, well, gosh, Srila Prabhupada told us this 50, 60 years ago. Because they were interested that it was really interesting to them to see that when something against the body would produce effect, that even if it wasn't the person, but it was somebody that they cared for, the same thing. Matter of fact, the mind would take it as pain themselves. And Srila Prabhupada explained this 50, 60 years ago in his book, explaining that we have bodily identification of ourself and our isms, or the things that we attach to our bodily concept. For instance, the people that we're around, our family. Bhagavad Gita explains that these are the fallible soldiers, right? And also things like political parties or religious affiliations or organization affiliations. Even you can see this as people do this with their cars, right? Or their dogs, right? If you're in a traffic and you bump somebody's car and you see how mad they get. Because this is showing that their map of life, of who they are, you call this a map. A map of the things that they identify connected to themselves. And so part of the map can be their car, their dog, their parents, their family, these things. And these are things that are related to them, and they take actual personal. And so I was thinking about how that it's explained that we all have a map. This is our identity. This is who we think of in the terms of our goals, our actions. How do we interact with the world? And we all have a map. We all have the things that we're connected to. The thing that our map is, when we're in the conditioned state, is based on a bodily platform. However, as devotees, do we have a map? Right? Our map, though, we're trying to take on in the form of is a spiritual map. We're trying to connect our identifications on a spiritual nature. The thing, though, is this is very difficult because we've had not only this life to make a map, consisting of our parents' teachings, our education that we hear, but we have lifetimes and lifetimes that we've developed a map. And a matter of fact, our map, our experience in this world are just to, what's the word I'm looking for? They are imbibing the map of all of our past lives. So the parents we get, the family we get, they're all accumulation of our connections we've made in previous life, and now they're manifested right now. Okay, but as devotees, we're trying to understand that we want a spiritual map. So there's a few things that are very potent in going from a bodily map identification to a spiritual map. There's 5 things that are most potent to be able to help us make this transfer. One of them being Srimad Bhagavatam. So when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, we start to identify with the stories and the experiences that are happening in Srimad Bhagavatam. For instance, we saw it yesterday. We were appreciating Vishvarup's point and how his attitude was when he was asked by his seniors to be their guru. Wow, that's kind of whoa. And we saw his humility in saying, no, I will take on that service. And so, if we get into a situation where we're feeling awkward because somebody senior to us is asking us to sit on the Vyasasana, you could say, we could make a new map that, oh, look what Visvarup did. He humbly said, if this is a service that you would like me to do, I will do it. I will sit on the Vyasasana. But Srimad Bhagavatam is a whole book on ways that we can help us to go from a bodily designation to a spiritual designation or map. Another very potent process to developing a spiritual map is the Holy Dawn. So when we go to the Holy Dawn, you can talk to others and you can experience yourself that there's a taste, there's a something happening there that's very special. In our Vaishnav, Gaudiya Vaishnav Sampradaya, our pinnacle of the Holy Dham is Radha Kund. And we can go to Radha Kund and we can perform some devotional service. And Srila Rupa Goswami actually says that this is the highest, right? He says this is the highest form of devotion that a devotee can come to. And so in the Holy Dham, when you live there or when you're present there, you're asked to associate with the devotees. And we can see that this process is very purifying. People ask me sometimes, they say, I moved to Dallas about 4 or 5 years ago. How do you like Dallas? And I tell them, well, Dallas I actually don't like so much. I'm from the Northwest. I'm from Portland, Oregon. I was born and raised there for most of my life. And if you've been to the Northwest, it's the most beautiful country in America. I mean, relatively. It's green, it's got mountains, it's got waterfalls, it's got an ocean, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Oh, what do you think about Dallas? Well, it's not my cup of tea. But always in the back of my mind is saying, but I would never give up my community for anything. Because I live in a place in Dallas that it's a holy Dham. And it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And so my map has transformed into this certain Dham. It's part of my life. Some people I can share this with. I feel like open enough to I live in Dallas, but I have a community quite often I actually explain, well, I don't really like Dallas, but I have a community within Dallas, and actually a nice opportunity to preach, to talk, because people go, oh, you have, a community? What? So the Holy Dom is a very potent way to help us associate with a map that is spiritual. Anybody seeing the pattern here? Anybody have the next potent process of developing a spiritual map? I'm going to go overtime. I'm just going to tell you right now. It's Thanksgiving, though. Maybe we have the day off. Anybody else can think of one other one? How about the name, the holy name? The holy name is like I heard from a senior devotee, I can't remember who it was, but they said it's like a download. When we're chanting Hare Krishna, we're downloading Krishna into our life. I was thinking about this and I was like, wow, this is really interesting, a download. Because see, when I make connections to the body being a tool, it helps me to separate from it, but also how to use it, and actually helps me get, for myself, it helps me actually get more into a spiritual state. So when I look like my bodies can be a computer or a tool or a vehicle, and I think of things like download, it kind of sparks my interest. So they said a download. And I was thinking about how, when we chant the holy name, we have ways that can help us to have a higher download speed, you could say. When we're really focused on the mantra and we're not creating offenses, and it's the only thing that we're interested, we're allowing for a quicker download speed. We're not having interference. We're not having any blockage in our you have an internet that's 1 terabyte, but things can make it download to 10 megabytes because of interference, right? And so as devotees, we want to download the Maha Mantra as clear as possible. And so when we chant in a way that we're attentive to the Maha Mantra, the name, it's allowing for a download that is really quickly giving us a map, helping us to identify in a spiritual platform. Anybody have a next process in our line of Bhagavatam, books, Bhagavatam, yes. How about the deity, right? Oh my gosh. At first, when you're maybe not familiar with Krishna consciousness, at least coming from the West and not having an aspect of a deity, it's a little bit kind of like what? But very soon you see that when you come and perform devotional service to the deity, we're not just seeing it as a statue, right? You can even see in the material world that statues can bring a feeling behind them, right? Some people, they have a march for a reason, and they say, you know what, we're going to do our march at this specific place where there's a statue because it will bring more significance, right? Just to say Martin Luther King. Let's go to the Martin Luther King memorial, and so we can see even in the material world that there's things that people identify with higher causes, right? Whoa, Nanda Braja, are you saying that Krishna is like a statue and he's just, no. I'm just giving a little platform for some understanding of that in a material sense, even the deity or the statue can mean more. In Krishna consciousness, though, the deity is the representative of Krishna. It is Krishna. It is Krishna. So when you worship the deity, you quickly, over time, you start to have experiences where you see Krishna as reciprocating with you. And this can be a very strong impression in the lives of the devotee. They no longer see Krishna as stone or marble or wood. They see the deity as Krishna. This is my worshipable Lord. This is the love of my life. And our map starts getting formed in the way of, oh, I wonder what Krishna would think. And when you think of Krishna, you think of Kalashanji. If you're at least, been around here in the Dham for some time, Kalashanji is so amazing that it becomes very easy for him to become part of our map. That's 4 very potent processes to developing a transcendental map. And the last one is the pure devotee. The pure devotee, when we start to associate or identify about how they would think of this situation, we start to identify with them and we start to associate and start to act in a way that's influenced by their association. The Christians were very smart with this. A while ago, they said they had a saying, WWJD. What would Jesus do? In our path, we're not necessarily trying to do what the Acharya would do, but we're trying to have our action influenced by what they would want us to do. What would Srila Prabhupada want me to do in this situation? Okay, so I've been giving kind of a material example of this mapping and then a spiritual, right? So in a sense, like we can look at this as our fathers, our mothers, our association with this person in our life, this strong influence can help us. Well, it's active in our life. For instance, I'll explain. My dad, one of his mottos in life was that when things are going good, don't worry, Nathan. Don't worry, Nathan. Anytime, at that moment, the world's gonna dump on you. So if things are going good, just around the corner, something bad's happening. This was my dad's outlook on life, You know what? He's right. It says it in the Bhagavad Gita that winter, summer, And actually, when I started hearing from Srila Prabhupada, my map, my identification with this saying my dad did changed. Oh, wait. He is right. But Srila Prabhupada influenced my new identification with that understanding. Happiness and distress are like summer and winter. They're coming and going. So yes, in happiness, there's going to be the darkness coming. My mother's saying in life was, don't worry, be happy. At least the one that I really connect with. And so it's interesting because I had these 2 different perspectives. Don't worry, be happy. And that the world is going to dump on you at some time. So I would think, yes, the world's going to dump onto me. So don't worry, be happy. It's going to happen, Which is actually kind of interesting because it works really well with Krishna consciousness too, because it's more of don't worry, be happy, be confident in Krishna, that he is surely there. The world is a tough place and, things are going to be tough. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because these are protections that we have in our life that are given by our acharyas on how to protect us from this world that is trying to influence in us in a way to keep us away from Krishna, Maya, right? And so this daily sadhana that we do is protection. It's not only protection, but it's actually changing our map, our identification, which is really amazing that we're identifying and have a map of life on a bodily form, and how quickly actually when we follow this process that the way we start to think, the way we start to identify starts to change. And the thing is that when we're in Krishna consciousness and still conditioned, that we're dealing with almost 2 maps. And sometimes our bodily identification map comes, and then sometimes our Krishna consciousness map comes, and sometimes they mix in between, However, the thing is if we're doing our sadhana nicely and we're performing these most potent 5 devotional services, Srimad Bhagavatam, the holy name, the Dham, the deity, and the devotee, then we are giving ourselves an armor of protection that allow for us to go to war in this material world and come out victorious. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that even a little advancement on the stage will protect the devotee from the greatest type of fear. And so we can actually associate that these things that we're doing are helping us to gradually develop a spiritual map, a spiritual identification, and therefore that's the advancement of giving up this material map, identification, and moving closer to a Krishna conscious identification. And if we simply do this process, then automatically we make progress. It automatically impresses on us to make adjustments. So before I ask questions, like I said, I'm going to be late on this one. I'm sorry. We'll go about 10, 15 minutes late. One thing that I wanted to really impress is that in this purport, Srila Prabhupada and in the translations talk about cause and effect, and that Krishna is non-different from the cause effect. And so one thing that we can do as devotees to map hack or to mind hack, if we're looking at still playing with this analogy that we have this vehicle that's like a computer, is that it's explained in the Bhagavad Gita that the mind is either the greatest of friends or the worst of enemies, right? And for the devotee, something that I found that has really, really helped me in hacking my mind is that accepting that everything is Krishna's arrangement. See, the mind likes to say that no, this is the cause and effect, this is a karma, and that this is separate from Krishna, or this is my doing, or this or that. But at least from what I'm hearing in this translation, in these last translations, is that everything comes from Krishna. We even say this, right? Srila Prabhupada says this, that not a blade of grass moves without the sanctioning of Krishna. So as devotees, we can be very confident, very determined in the fact that we have surrendered to Krishna, and not one thing happens in our life that is not sanctioned by Krishna. And if it's sanctioned by Krishna, then it is absolute. And in that absoluteness, we will make advancement. Sometimes, I'll be honest with you, it doesn't feel very good because sometimes Krishna kicks us, right? Lord Chaitanya says this, whether you kick me or embrace me, is the same Krishna. I'm still yours, right? So sometimes, Krishna, we need a swift kick in the bottom, and sometimes we need a nice hug. But our job as devotees is to see it as Krishna's arrangement. And we stay there. We say that we are past karma. Not that we are past karma, that's not even really relevant. The point is that Krishna is in our life and he is acting, and therefore everything in our life is perfect. And so when it comes to us, then we're just thinking about how that we can best use it in Krishna's service. I'll stop there. I apologize so much for going overtime. It's 8:30. Let's open for questions for 10, maybe 15 minutes, depending on the faces in the audience. Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the nice class. Just on your last point you made about how we look at everything as Krishna, we don't see that we are the doers of anything. How do we understand when we are kind of dropping the ball? Or like, let's say I spaced out on Facebook for like 45 minutes, you know? How do I see that as Krishna's arrangement? Or, you know, because you're saying like we're not the doer or things like that. So whenever we go into Maya or whenever we space out, how do we understand that? Is it the modes of nature? Is it, you know, being humbled? Is it?
So sometimes we do get overcome by the modes of material natures, but as devotees, we understand that Krishna is behind even material nature. So our job, something that's very powerful in our Krishna consciousness, is not dwelling on the mistakes that we made, but how to move forward on it. And if we see this as Krishna is so kind that I was at some point weak in the sense of, or not even weak, but I made this mistake, and if we are determined to see it as Krishna's kindness, we even get more of a desire to serve him in a way that's pleasurable to him. So why am I doing this thing that's seemingly overcome by the modes of material nature? Well, Krishna okayed it. Maybe we needed it, maybe we're not. But the point is as devotees, seeing that separate from Krishna is called Maya. It's very simple, right? So I'm going to say, no, this is Krishna's arrangement. He helped facilitate, and therefore, however, I don't really feel the connection with Krishna that I want because his kindness, he allowed me to do this, but really it didn't give me the thing that I want. So I'm going to become determined and learn from that experience about how to make adjustments. This is very tough for devotees because we understand we make mistakes. And we say, well, if I made a mistake, then how can that be Krishna consciousness? But our mistakes are meant to help us to overcome and do the right thing next time. And it will keep coming up and keep coming up, come up until we can overcome. And sometimes we overcome more until eventually it's like not a thing, right? The thing I would like to express too is, if you are hearing in the sense of the change of map, we can understand that. Just imagine how intricate that change is. Have you ever had an experience where you made a change in life and your identity that you had, that you were working on, is gone? For instance, a change in job. Or you want to know a big one? If you have a loss of a family member. Oh my gosh, that will rock your map. All of a sudden, your identification as a son, your father leaves his body, it's gone. A lot of it. It's tough. People go through a lot of grievance and tough times overcoming these changes in our map. So can you imagine if Krishna pulled our map away from us all at once? We would go into convulsions. You know what I mean? We couldn't handle it. So Krishna does help us by giving us is what we need in the time. And sometimes that's not exactly where we want to go, where we would like to get to. And so, to put that in a couple sentences, in our moments of weakness, or we identify with our old map and we still look at it like Krishna's arrangement, that he was kind, and we could look at, by the way, I want to say that we could look at it like this, because there's lots of examples that the Bhagavatam gives us on how to see things, right? Because even some devotees say in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's right, oh, I understand that this is my past karma, and therefore I'm getting some part of my karma, but as I know that Krishna is so kind that he's only given us a little bit of it, right? So there are different perspectives. However, I'm sitting on the Vyasasana right now, and so I'm kind of giving you a perspective that I found that is conducive to my Krishna consciousness, which I found in the Srimad Bhagavatam, you know, in examples by acharyas. Okay, I made a mistake. You know, let's not dwell on the mistake. Let's go to where we want to go. So that's the fastest and quickest way to do that is to associate with Krishna, right? Oh, Krishna, you're so kind. You gave me this opportunity. you know what, I don't really like it though. It kind of isn't the expression I want to do in my love for you. So could you help me in the next time, please overcome this? And he'll reciprocate. He'll help us to, especially when we chant Hare Krishna, he'll help us to overcome gradually. What do you think? Any other thoughts on that? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you. I'll come to the thoughts on this point, but I wanted to appreciate downloading Krishna and the speed at which you download when there is no interference. I think that really sticks with me, especially japa time. It's like, okay, how much of it.
Yeah, let's have the speediest connection. Huh?
It's like, okay, this really clicks. The other point the question he raised is also, I also, no excuses, but I do indulge in, spacing out on the internet. And sometimes it comes to a point where I'm like, really, do I want to be doing this? And but sometimes it comes to your, like it's some tendency, and then you're like, okay, how do I deal with it? Because I'm working and I have this access. What helps me is like, okay, not letting go of the practices and then just trying to do more of the positive. And that at some point in time you have to deal with like, okay, do I really want to be doing this? So, if we recognize that this is our tendency, this is our weakness, and we can't just like, totally remove these devices from our lives, then just, do the positive reinforcement. That's what I'm doing. I'm suffering from the same problem, but more of the positive. So then you want, okay, do I really want to be doing this? That helps me.
It's hard to give up something lower. You can't give up something. You can't let it go until you have something higher to grab onto, right? But we can also be frank with ourselves. Like, yeah, I'm over here. So like, one thing we can do too is go, okay, that is something that I enjoy to do, and so therefore I limit the time, or I become conscious of the time that and then we can get a little taste of it, whatever that taste is we're getting, and then, be done with it, move on to the other things, and eventually the taste just goes away. Thank you. Very nice. Any other comments, questions, thoughts? My mom?
Thank you for a very nice class. I was going to say kind of the same thing about that. It was that how can we know what we shouldn't, what doesn't help us if we don't experience it? And what we do is we all purify ourselves by getting into the things that you were just talking about, all the things that make change, and that's, I think, Krishna's mercy in letting us feel like we have a choice, and it makes us change our map. But I also want to say, I think the map thing is another way to say that is neural networking. There's a lot of stuff out there today about neural networking and how strong it is, and how you can change it. And in family, we have had 3 kids that have told us who they were in their past lifetimes, what family member they were in their past lifetime. And so that shows what they were thinking of when they passed. Those people were all thinking about family, and here they are back with us. So if I want to come back with my family, then that's what I need to do. But if I want to go home to Godhead, then I need to change my neural networking, and I need to make Krishna my thought, detach from thinking continually about things here on the planet in this reality.
I appreciate you making this point, because it's one thing that I was hoping to talk about, but anyways, you bring it up, is, see, we still, as devotees, have a map, and so we still have family, but the way we identify with that map changes, in the sense of that we see that these people are a spirit soul. So I can have the most attachment to my child, I can have so much attachment to my child. But that attachment is that, wow, Krishna's so kind that he gave me this person to do service for, and they're a spirit soul. They are Krishna's, and you see it like that. They are Krishna's, and I get this opportunity for a service. So we still have a map of connections, families, this, but our perspective changes. It becomes, this is why it becomes a spiritual map. So it's still a map, still connections of people, still connections with people, still connections with our isms, right? Most of you probably have a connection with ISKCON, right? We have a connection with ISKCON. Somebody talks bad about ISKCON, we almost take it personal. Like, it's part of our map, right? But that's a spiritual organization that Srila Prabhupada set up for us to help us in our Krishna consciousness, to develop, to go to the highest platform. So I hope that doesn't seem like I'm saying what against you. I just really thought that was important, is to say, is that understanding that we can have attachment to our family, but it becomes a spiritual attachment, a spiritual map of our family. And therefore, when it happens, I'll see them in the spiritual world.
That's just what I was going to say, is I love them all dearly, but I don't want to join them again here in the material world. I'd rather see them again in the spiritual world.
If you hear from our founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, so much, is that he says the best thing that you can do for them is what? Go back home, back to Godhead, become spiritual. So if we take the association of Srila Prabhupada and start to see that, matter of fact, the best father that I can be, the best friend that I can be, the best brother I can be, the best whatever, is to be a devotee, then changes. Okay, Mishra Bhagavan, maybe the last question. I'm sorry, I apologize for us going a little bit over time. A lot over time. This is what happens when I don't do class for a while.
I read the phrase unity and diversity in the purport today. Can you find that, unity and diversity? I think Prabhupada said that someone's in Krishna consciousness realizes unity. Oh, there it is. Therefore, those who are advanced in spiritual knowledge see unity and diversity. So I've heard this phrase quite a bit. This is the first time I've actually seen it written. Yeah. Which is interesting. Because during the GBC meetings in Mayapur, they kick around this phrase, unity and diversity. Yeah. It's kind of, it's like it's something for everybody. Right. You got your unity, but you still get to